Joanna Stankiewicz Majoska, and it will be on designing ESP courses in dual higher education. I have also a note for everyone here. Basically, as part of work package 2, I am informed to ask you that you need to scan these QR codes, and then there's some questionnaire which you have to fill in. So please do so at some time of convenience when you find the time to do so. So I leave the floor to Joanna. Let's try to keep to the time. I have to be a little rigorous here because of the delay which we are at the moment in. Joanna, all yours.
Okay.
Here you have the clicker. Click next, and you will see the presentation as it goes on.
All right. So a very good morning to all of you. As you can see, my name is here, and I'm looking at your coffees, and I envy you because I haven't managed to get mine, but I will in a while. I represent the people behind the scenes, I would say, English teachers. And I work at the Technical University of Koszalin, or KUT, as it's called here. Okay, and I think that I'm lucky that I want to talk about English, which is the omnipresent tool that we all use, and without that medium of communication, this internationalized cooperation wouldn't be really possible. So I think it's an obviousness. I'm sorry, I will keep on looking at people who enter, but I can't help that. So it might be an obviousness, but English is the lingua franca, and it has enabled this cooperation. It made it doable. And we need to help our students, and English is also one of the skills that we heard about that will help them in the early stages of their careers. And I'd like to focus on English for specific or special purposes, because there are different names in literature which come in, which is something that I've been working on, and I think that it would be another interesting thing to ask you all about your personal shift from the English that we were taught at school, which focused mainly on grammar in case of, let's say, Poland, and the requirements of school leaving exams, to the operational English that you are using in your field of research, also here at the EU4Dual. But I think that that's another extra topic. And I guess you've all heard about English for law, English for electronics, and other specificities. But I would like to maybe put it in a nutshell. And if we all hear KPIs, that's something that you all know about. On the other hand, if we hear an acronym like FTL, that might be misleading, because some of us know it as faster than light, others as full truckload. So that's just an example, okay? I know I don't have many slides. I've got, okay, I will move on. So I just want to tell you that English for specific purposes has a future, and we English teachers have a long way to go. And you can see here that business people do not expect us to teach how to run business, yeah? And they want us to teach students how language is used there. And we were educated in methodology, in linguistics, and there was also a time when the first time I had to teach students about bridges or mechanics, I think I spent about 2 weeks, yeah, studying, preparing my courses, and I think that I need to do that, yeah, also in the future. If you choose to design your course for specific purposes in a way that is fruitful and is supposed to be satisfactory, both for the students, of course, and for the teacher as well, because we need to remember that our well-being is also a kind of guarantee of the success. I think that we need to sit down and ask ourselves a lot of questions. And in my short study, because it's not research yet, I would say, rather the point of view of a practitioner, I tried to look at these questions from the point of view of researchers. And if you think about the hypothesis that I would like to focus on in the future, is whether it's really relevant to analyze not only students' needs, but employers' needs, but also take into account insights of experts from our universities, and to check if at our partner institutions these things are analyzed. You know that I'm not the first person to analyze the ESP, and the history goes a long way. The professor from Canada, she mentioned that they started in 1957. ESP was coined, this term was coined in the 1960s, and it was after the Second World War when English became the key to international trade, commerce, technology, and suddenly there was a kind of demand for delivering results in a given time for a given group. There were engineers, doctors, and practitioners of various fields who knew what they needed English for. And there was a kind of shift from the point of view of English teachers who studied Beowulf and British history and American history, to the requirements of people whose demands, wishes, suddenly became the central point. So English teachers had to adjust quickly. And the focus nowadays, and I'm also a member of Work Package 6, we talked about the demands of the market as well yesterday. They are still there. And though we have machine translation, we've got dictionaries, all of us, we need to understand the specificity of a given field before we try to give our students a course that will be, as I said before, satisfactory, fruitful, meaningful, and in a given time. That's also important in certain conditions, requirements of our universities. Oh, too strong, I'm sorry. These challenges are still there. And these two researchers, Tom Hutchinson and Alan Waters, have been studying the needs analysis for a long time. This research, you can see, comes from late 1980s. And they came up with the questions or points that we need to take into account as English teachers and also language teachers in general, but these two researchers come from Great Britain. What we have to think about if we want to customize the course to our students' needs. First of all, on the left you can see, okay, 2 minutes. I don't know if with my dry throat I can hurry, but I will try. So the target needs of employers are on the left and the needs of students are on the right. But there are gaps that have to be closed, and there are certain constraints also from the target situation that we are trying to address. What company is it? What industry? And on the right, we need to think about the curriculum, that we need to follow, and what kind of learners we have. That's just a sketch and an idea I would like to do further research on, that in order to prepare the best possible customized course, we need to take all these needs into consideration. So students' needs, employers' needs, insights of experts, and of course available materials. Because there are a lot of course books, but they are not updated. It's not possible for a publishing house to update a course book every year. Yeah? We can try to turn to online resources, but still remember about authentic ones. If I need to hurry, I would like to show you a case study that's an analysis that I carried out on the basis of a script that I published for our third-year logistics students at my university within another EU project called Accessible University. And I asked questions in a survey that were structured and open to students, and I also carried out, one more minute I hope you will give me, because I haven't turned to EU institutions. Okay, so you can see that there is a consent between employers and students. They all know that communicativeness is the key, that's clear, but they also realize that vocational vocabulary is something they need to learn. The experts' insight gave me also important idea that we need to show certain subjects with a history and a future, at least a bit. And now the last one. These are our partner institutions, and I carried a survey also to find out if they do that, because the last and not the least important thing, there is no need to carry out students and employers analysis. So if it's not a requirement of the curriculum, it's just the willingness, but I think that also kind of intuition of teachers and researchers that they do that, yeah? Because we need to try to customize these courses. And some of us do that, and I hope that we will try to work on a kind of agreement if it's really relevant, yeah? And that's going to be the question in my research. And if I'm short of time, that's going to be the last slide. Okay, that's just a fairy tale that two researchers came up with. Once upon a time, there were two cities, let's say, of general English and the world of engineers, but they have to meet, yeah, somewhere, and build a new city, and I hope to keep seeing you there. Okay, 11, 12? Okay.
Thank you very much. Is there any question for the presenter? We can take maybe one question. Gentlemen?
It is interesting, the survey about the universities and what they do. Could you please provide us a little bit? Thank you for the survey, the picture, the slide before. Is there an overview and the background of it available?
Of this slide,
yeah,
or of the survey?
Of the survey and the slide.
I can make it available, of course.
Yeah, it would be nice to talk about it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Applause for this interesting presentation. Next one is about enhancing dual education through comprehensive career support. A case study of the Academy of Technical Applied Studies in Belgrade. And we have Mirjana Neslic. I hope I said the name well, to present. All yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Mirjana Nešić, and me and my colleagues, we are coming from Belgrade, the Academy of Applied Technical Studies, Serbia. I must say that I already felt like home in Belgrade in the traffic jam that we had today. But then I realized that it is a holiday that some people are celebrating. So for those who are celebrating Bayram, Sharif, Mubarak also. Okay, let's go to the presentation. Just a second. So, today, just a moment, sorry. Okay. Okay, today I will talk about the innovative approach adopted by our academy in the process of establishment of dedicated center for students. So, sorry. Oh, I'm in a hurry. So aligned with the dual educational model, Career Center serves as a pivotal organizational unit in the academy. And facilitating facilitates this process of integration of academic learning with the workplace opportunities. So main activities of the center are lectures, workshops, seminars, counseling, competencies improvement. But we are also helping students with writing biography, motivation letters, portfolios, preparations, then job interviews, studies abroad. We are informing them about many opportunities that they can have after their studies are done. So here are some examples, just a couple of photos from our activities. It was last year in December job interview workshop that we had, so our students could test themselves how they can act in a real job interview, to get some random questions that they can really get under, so some counseling with students and so on. So we do a lot of things about in this matter of career skills. So we talk a lot about hard skills, which is knowledge and expertise, like information and media and digital literacy. We talk a lot about presentation techniques, about importance of languages, but also we talk about soft skills, people skills, which are very important today, every day even more, with communication and time management, creativity, adaptability. So these are all things that one has to have. So when we talk about digital competencies, we use this European Commission digital competence framework. So we try to work on all of these activities more or less. So we talk about communication and collaboration, digital content creation, how we can create content ethically. So not just to create, but to cite. So we talk about copyrights, about protecting, about safety, about problem solving, and so on. In collaboration with our library, we also talk a lot about this information and data literacy, about how to, because when you say that you are literate in this field, you have to know how to find the real information, the important information, relevant information, not just information. So how to cite it, how to share it ethically, and so on and so on. So, as I mentioned, critical thinking is very important. That is the thing that the students miss a lot. So they also learn about source verification, about digital programs and tools. When we talk about presentation techniques, we talk about conceptualizing ideas, and then presentation of work, tools that they can use for better prepare their presentations and better present them, not only with PowerPoint, but maybe Prezi and Canva and Google Slides and so on. Then communication skills. So we learn and talk lots about, discuss about how active listening is important, how to resolve some conflicts that could get in their job or maybe studying. About negotiation and so on. Also, the thing that students, not only students, but very often students miss is this point of organization and time management. So it is very important also. So we also discuss these things and work on them, how to improve our time organization and how to use some digital tools also for these kind of activities. Also adaptability, important. What is empathy? Openness, how to exchange some knowledge that they have with others. We also encouraging our students to take some extracurricular activities, because like volunteering, practice of different kinds, participation in different kinds of projects, humanitarian ecology projects, charity work, environmental actions, and so on, because it is important to be socially responsible also. How to not to mention the AI. We talk about importance of artificial intelligence today, because students can use many of these tools for studying, but also tomorrow for future work. So we talk about personalized learning, how they can use some AI tools for information and literature and article retrieval, virtual assistants and content creation, how to use tools for content creation. But, of course, when we talk about possibilities, we also talk about challenges of artificial intelligence, which are usually incorrect, some inappropriate answers. We talk about some ethical issues, because, as we know, artificial intelligence usually can give some answers that reflect social biases and stereotypes. Of course, technological addiction. We are all victims of this thing, but we also talk about that, how it is important to continue communicating with each other, not only with machines. Also privacy, security, we also mentioned that. So what is the impact of career guidance, counseling, and education? The Career Center contributes to making a good career decisions. Career Center helps students to get the knowledge, information, experience, but also students at the end of their programs could get recommendations or a certificate for additional involvement in extracurricular activities, such as volunteer work, participation in national and international projects, or competitions. 2 minutes, okay, super. In various forms or scientific research, or some kind of extra activities in the academy bodies. So, I'm finishing. In addition to informing and educating students for the career skills, the Career Center also provides support to the students of the dual education by monitoring the satisfaction and motivation of students and employers during the realization of learning through work, and help students in choosing an employer. After completing the program, the center helps students negotiate permanent positions in the company, or directs them to alternative employment opportunities. And one more thing, it is it is important to say that the scope of Career Center extends beyond supporting students to meet the needs of employers. By collaborating with the Council of Employers in the Academy, the Center facilitates the selection of well-prepared students, negotiates contracts, and contributes to the development of the crucial soft skills. The last slide. What can we teach young people today? I must cite my favorite, one of my favorite writers, Harari, who says in his book 21 Lessons for the 21st Century, we can teach them 4 C's: critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. But the most important of all will be the ability to deal with change, to learn new things, and to preserve one mental balance in unfamiliar situation. Thank you.
Very good presentation, thank you. Are there any questions for Mirjana? Any questions? None. Okay, so it was excellently explained then. Next, we have a presentation about international mobility of higher education apprentices. We will see the challenges and opportunities. It will be Tatiana Marinkovic.
Hello everyone. I hope I will be short enough, as big part of my presentation is already talking today. So what I will try to discuss today with you is rather challenges about mobility of apprenticeship. And I will present you some experience that we get in Academy of Technical Applied Studies Belgrade, but we also have to mention here that we have strong support by the Office for Dual Education, and members of this office are also here. So it's very important part from the Serbia that actually started dual education in higher education just 3 years ago. I'm sure that it's not necessary to talk a lot about learning mobility and significance of learning mobility to this audience, because we already know what is this good for. I will just jump to the next slide and say some numbers. So what is expected for us to do is to provide at least 25% of higher education graduates to have learning mobility experience. That's a huge number, but doable. There is another target stated by European Council that 15% of vocational learners in vocational education and training, that is quite close to dual education in higher education, also should benefit from learning mobility. And expected number from people who are coming from short or fewer opportunities background is about 15%. Now, when we think about apprentice mobility, we actually see that all those three targets are addressed if we succeed to send our students, am I too loud, too close? If we succeed to send our students to the mobility. I will not repeat things that we learned like half an hour ago about shortage of skilled workers in Europe, all over the Europe. I will maybe just add one more point, that nowadays industrial plants are very often just geographically relocated. So what does it mean? Factory is relocated and all workers have to go with them. Meaning that if you have workers with international experience and workers able to adapt to the new environment, you are in big advantage. That's why learning mobility during dual higher education time is very important for those students. Now, being aware that we have to perform this learning mobility and how important for all our student internalization of our academy, but also for our industrial sector, we tried that in our short but fruitful experience with dual education, send several students to the learning mobility to Slovenia and Bulgaria. And those are two great guys who spent several months in apprenticeship in the K131 funding scheme of Erasmus program. Once they came home, they were really happy. They were really satisfied with their experience. They gained transferable skills. They were much better in problem solving. Their ability to work in foreign environment was significantly improved. They work better as a part of the team. Their curiosity increased, and this is something that we had in our evaluation form. What also was great point is that sending industrial partner was really happy having back students with international experience. This was really important for them now having better worker. And it seems like everything worked just perfectly. However, usually I'm the one who is, party breaker. I have to tell something about challenges and difficulties and issues that we actually met trying to implement this kind of mobility scheme. Now let's go back to something that was mentioned several times today. We have this triangle: student, higher education institution, and world of work, and the needs that have to be fulfilled for all those three parties. Now, when we think about international mobility, we have one more world of work, we have two companies from two different countries, and we have to think about their legislative and their possibility to accept or send student. Dual education consider that student is worker. He is working, or he or she is working to learn, meaning they have to have social security, has to have all this legislative work that is important for worker. Now, when we want to send this kind of students, we have to deal with visa issues, work permit, all these working status issues that you do not have when you discuss about typical learning mobility. So when you send students for study, you don't have to work and deal with them working status. Here, we have to discuss how to solve this legislative when you want to send, for instance, students from Serbia to Bulgaria, from non-European country to European country. A lot of paperwork is included in this process. However, we always somehow succeed to work with the paper, and somehow this works, one way or another, faster or slower, but it works. But when it comes to money, things became more complicated. And it's very easy to understand why this money issue here is a problem. Now you do have one company who is supposed to send their worker, who is not full-time worker, but apprentice, who will probably not come back to the company. And you have another company who is supposed to train your student for a limited period of time without clear benefit. So probably they won't be able to retain this student in their system. Who will pay for what? Student is already paid in his original institution, and this institution will not pay him for the work that he or she, I'm sorry, I'm not correct here, the student is providing for another company. And then you have, again, all these tax issues, all these paperwork issues, who will cover insurance, who is doing what, and what is benefit for each of people in this process. This is something that we discussed a lot, and discussed with our colleagues from European Union in several different occasions, realized that probably the only possible way to solve this issue is to use some kind of collaboration scheme, as Erasmus program is, in which you actually have to include higher education institution much closer than what you expect usually for traineeships. We were not really successful to directly contact company abroad and convince them to take our students. We also have these important language issues. Does students speak another language? And where is Joanna speaking about learning English for all of us is really important part in this moment. But what we learned for us and what was really useful is that we can use our international higher education institution partners. So not going directly to the company, but ask our higher education institution, our faculty colleagues, our friends, to accept our students and then provide them with a place for their students already. And this is the only way that we see that is working now. So as we are talking, we are having students packing their things to go to Slovenia again from Serbia, but we always have to include this bypass higher education institution. I would really be happy if we can discuss other possibility and successful story for learning apprentice mobility in this way. However, this is what our experience is, and we find it really, really important for our work. So I was extra fast, right?
Very good. Any questions? I've just been informed that the coffee will be until 12:05, so if anyone wants coffee, you need to go grab and get it back here. So basically, the next presentation, in the meantime, will be win-win or the real benefit session. Please, those who are in the room, have a seat. Please have a seat. Because the time is what it is. Unfortunately, it is the only constant which we have. So, okay. So the next session will be about win-win-win, or the real benefits and opportunities of dual training by Zoltan Valentinil. Hope I said it well. Okay. Zoltan Valentinil. Very good. All yours.
Okay, shall we start?
Yes, because they told me you have to continue.
Some people are still having coffee. So, thank you for those who left the room just before my presentation. I remember the faces, I can tell you, and there will be consequences. Okay? So, I joined John von Neumann University a bit more than 1 year ago, and I spent many years in a business environment in supply chain logistics. So we are colleagues, I assume. And one of my first projects was actually together with my colleagues, of course, to build a logistics laboratory at our university to improve our logistics engineer education. And when we started to think about the fundamentals and the basic principles of this future logistics laboratory. So what should we do? What should be included in the lab? What should we focus on, and what is important? And actually, who are our partners in this business? And I can tell you that my conclusion was that actually this dual education is a business. It's a special business because actually it includes three parties. Obviously the student, the company who we work with in this dual education frame, and the university. And the other interesting thing in this triangle relation is that all parties involved are at the same time customers and suppliers as well, using some logistics definition or words. So it's interesting, and then we looked at what are the interests of the different parties in this very special relationship. And I put the students on the top on purpose, of course, because they are, in my eyes, they are the most important. So what do they want? What did they come to our university? What do they want to achieve? Of course, they came here, hopefully every one of them, to get some up-to-date knowledge, which are theoretical knowledge and practical knowledge, both. They are useful, and they are also easy to digest, easy to learn. And last but definitely not least, also remembering to my university time, they want unforgettable years. So they want to remember this should be the best time in their life, as it was in my life, actually those 5 years in those days. So this is, you might say that this is less relevant for us as teachers, but I think it's unforgettable. These unforgettable years is not only about parties and having drunk together and these kind of things, but also about the lectures and also about the practical experiences. I remember that we still sometimes talk about those teachers whose lectures were extremely boring, but we talk a bit more about those people whose lectures were very, very interesting, and we believe that we still remember many of the things they explained to us. The next one is, of course, us. Not necessarily, of course, but what is our mission? Of course, we provide the education, we provide the knowledge, but it should be competitive, and that's a never-ending story. We always have to work on updating our knowledge and make it competitive, make it up to date. Advanced researches are absolutely necessary for this, and of course we need more and more students because we believe, I think all people in the room believe that they provide the best education in their country. We believe that they can learn a lot, and thanks to the Hungarian system, the university is also benefiting financially from having more and more students. And of course we need valuable income from the students, but then I turn to the companies because we want, as we said, to work together with the companies, and we want to generate income for the university because this is the future as we see it in many countries. So we cannot just pray for more money from the government, we have to generate the money. And that's why just one reason why. The companies are also important in this relation, in this triangle. And what do they want? Of course, they want the best people to work for them, who are reliable because they have very good knowledge, they have very good problem-solving attitude, they are hard workers, and of course their soft skills, so their personality and their behavioral aspects are also fit to the company culture. So and of course this is just a condensed version of the whole thing, we concluded that these are very important to focus on, and of course within the dual education this can also help our work in the future, also in relation to the establishment of the new logistics laboratory by working together. But we have a challenge, we have a big challenge talking about the traditional way of teaching students, because we looked at the Ebbinghaus forgetting curve. I don't know if you are familiar with that, but actually that clearly shows us that we forget things. We forget things very, very fast. Actually, when you walk out from this room, then you will probably forget what I said in 5 minutes. Most of the part of what I am saying here, you probably forget. So your retention rate, not only yours, but also our students and everyone's, is not really okay. So what we see is that basically 20 minutes later, 1 day later, you will hardly remember, what was said here. So this is the challenge, and this is the challenge of the academic theoretical education, when we just explain certain things to the students. So what can we do? Then we looked at the learning pyramid, and we concluded that basically, yes, if we just do a lecture without any visual support, then they will remember probably 5% of the whole thing, which is not really satisfactory. I think we can all conclude this. If they can read, if there is a visualization, then we can improve this retention rate. But this is still a passive learning method. And we have to turn the education, or at least support the education, with an active learning method. And then, for instance, a logistics lab is a very good means to achieve this, and to achieve a much, much higher retention rate. Even if we let the students to do the exercises, then we can achieve 75%. And if we ask them to teach the others, to work together with us, then it can go even higher. So this is our aim. This is what we want to achieve. Definitely not staying on a 5%, 10%, 20% level, because that is definitely not enough. We target 75 or even 90%. And for this, we need the laboratory. We need the laboratory to let the students work in that. Of course, we demonstrate, we show them, and we teach them, and then they will do it on their own. But what do they do, and what is the benefit of the different parties? What do we want to achieve? What do we want to achieve in the education part? Then we show them the physical environment, first of all. So it would be quite unfortunate when a small child is talking about the fact that he or she loves turkey meat, but cannot recognize how the turkey on the farm, how the turkey looks like, because never visited a zoo even. So we want to show them how the pallet looks like, how the racks look like, and all these things. But of course, we also target to show them the digital solutions, and with digital solutions, we want to create digital twins by copying the physical reality to our computers, optimizing the processes, and then transferring them back to the physical environment on an improved with an improved efficiency and with an improved process. And of course, this is how we can also improve the processes of the different companies. But we also plan to do certain researches together with the students, together with the companies. We are connected together with our partner universities, so you are all welcome and invited to work with us in the future. And of course, we also want to do this to introduce new education programs, because in logistics we have only the basic education, BSc, so we are looking for introducing the masters, the English language education, etc., etc. And we want to work with the companies, and then the money also comes, not only to serve their interest, because we want to do the researches together with the companies. we want to support them because when we develop something, maybe that can be helpful for the companies to improve their processes and their business. And of course, last but not least, again, we want to ensure that they will get the right students. So this is our target, and of course we have a lot of things behind about the functionality of the logistic concept and the means, and we work on that. We started, by the way, with certain functionalities. We plan to complete this in the near future, but we introduce some projects by using certain softwares, and it's a real feedback from the students that they simply love it. They love it much more than when I explain them how certain things work. They love to test it, to do it on their own, and then compare the result with each other. So this is our plan, and I believe that that this will be successful in the future, and we would be happy to share more experience with you if you will still remember what I said today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Zoltan. Any questions? We have a question, but they will give you the microphone because they need to record the session. Maybe another coffee break. The gentleman here.
Thank you very much. Very interesting presentation. One very important curiosity. In order to achieve this change, how are you planning to prepare the teachers? Because we speak a lot about what we want to achieve, but of course, the enabling factor is having the persons teaching and interacting with the students ready to go for this new venture.
Absolutely good question, because we have to develop ourselves as well. Actually, we do on different ways. We started to learn. So I personally use a software called LogHub, with which company we had a strategic partnership on a top level. And last year I started to attend trainings of this company, of this cloud-based software. And I told the students that, hey guys, I show you this, but I am not really familiar with the whole system. But I started to show them, and in these days they are using it. So this is one way that we simply learn. By using a professional or working together with professionals. The other thing is that we invite professionals from outside, from the business world, but also from different areas. And step by step, we take over their knowledge and we take it into our hand. This is time. This also requires time, maybe 2-3 years, but sooner or later we want to get it in-house, everything. Thank you.
Any more questions? None. I will now introduce Paula, who will be chairing the next session. And I think there is also some information which you need to give, no? Should take information. After? Okay, very good.
Good afternoon. We quickly come to the next session, unfortunately, because we are very, very pressed for time. So I will now introduce the first presenters. The first presentation is the Finnish Universities of Applied Sciences, strongly work-life oriented, and the presenter is Dr. Virpi Laukkanen.
Yes. Hello everyone. So my name is Virpi Laukkanen. I work in here. Okay, let's use the mic. My name is Virpi Laukkanen. I work as Director of Internationality in Savonia University of Applied Sciences in Kuopio, Finland. And we have prepared this presentation together with two of my colleagues. One of them is there, Minna Karkainen. And Pia Wiklund is the third writer, but Pia, I think she's in another session at the moment. So I'm also quite strongly involved in EU for Dual activities. I'm acting as academic director in EU for Dual, and there we of course develop this European model, and I think that it's also really important to understand what kind of models we have in different countries. And this is kind of the perspective that we are having here, so that we tell to you how we are doing things in Finland compared to dual model. So this is like shortly the structure of our presentation. So I will shortly tell you some things about the background, describe the Finnish model as a case, and using Savonia University of Applied Sciences as a case university here, and then some results and conclusions about our paper. So our aim here is to sort of examine how work-life oriented higher education is done in Finland, and also consider how dual approach can be enhancing the work-life orientation that we are having in Finland. And this is something that we think that the universities of applied sciences in Finland, they already are very much work-life oriented, but as we have heard, there are big challenges in world, in Europe, in all countries, and even more deeper kind of collaboration with companies and work-life is needed, and that is what we also want to do in Savonia University of Applied Sciences. So in this presentation, very shortly, we go to some definitions, but if you are interested in reading more about this, I very strongly support you to get to know our paper, because of course there we go more deeply into these issues. So we are talking here about work-life oriented pedagogy, also about academia-industry collaboration and the practical skills, and how for example, internships can be helping students to get those needed skills. So when we are talking about work-life pedagogy, it involves collaboration between companies, so we need these collaborative networks with companies, with work-life, with organizations, and then we can blend theory with practice, and this is of course one of the key issues in this kind of practice-oriented higher education. Of course, it also involves addressing the needs of the work life, what kind of skills the students need to get during their studies so that they are ready to go to the work life after their studies. When we are talking about workplace pedagogy, it of course is very much involved in the learning and teaching issues, but also in universities of applied sciences and in this kind of dual approach. It's also important that companies and industry are involved in many other ways as well, not only how the teaching and learning activities are done. It's also important that the companies are involved in development of the curricula, help students in getting their skills in practical training, and also help us to develop that kind of education that it actually provides those skills that are needed in the future in the work life. So just to understand the background, in Finland we don't have dual higher education institutions. We have a dual higher education system, and this is something that often it may raise some kind of misunderstandings, I would say. Because the situation is that in Finland we have this higher education system which is called dual higher education system, but this means that we have scientific universities which are science and research-based universities, and then we have universities of applied sciences which are these practice-oriented universities. So this is our dual system, but we don't have dual higher education as such, as a kind of definition. Also, we don't have apprenticeships in the level of higher education. We have internships and practical training, but apprenticeship model is only in the vocational colleges. So this is the situation at the moment. But universities of applied sciences in Finland are very widely contacting work life into the studies in all those levels. So already from development of curriculum, how the teaching is done, and also thesis is usually done commissioned by companies or other organizations. So this is our current model. So we also have like a strong internship model, and I want to also mention our master studies, because this is something that is quite close to the dual model which you are having in Middle Europe, and also in EU for Dual partners are having this dual model. So our master studies are actually the kind of that the students actually are working at the same time as they are doing their studies. And they also need to have 2 years working experience after their bachelor to be eligible to come to study in our master programs. And you can imagine that when a student is already working in a company or other organization, and they are doing their studies part-time, online studies are in a big role. So they are all the time integrating what they learn in university to the company, and they are developing the companies or organizations' activities all the time during their studies. Sorry? Okay. Yes, so I think that what is actually good to mention is the wide part of the internships that we are having. So all our students have at least 30 ECTS internships, but for example, in some programs, even 85 ECTS. So it's a big part of their learning. I think that conclusions is a good way to stop, because I'm told that it's already done. So, as I mentioned, we don't have this dual higher education model in Finland, and based on the discussions with our ministry, we will not have that like a third model in Finland in near future. So what we have a strong autonomy in universities of applied sciences to develop new kind of models. And for that reason, for example, in Savonia, we are developing like the kind of dual 2.0 model, where we want to make the studies or the work experience that students are having in work life a clear part of their studies. And this is how we try to develop this model closer to the dual model that is here in Europe. But as I said, please read our paper. There's much more information, and in this short time, it's impossible to describe everything. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Virpi. Unfortunately, we don't have any time for questions because the time was up. So we now come to the next presentation. The presentation will be delivered by John Altuna, and it is entitled A Comprehensive Analysis of Dual University Education in Spain.
¿Dónde está presente? Many thanks. My name is Vicente Clement. I'm from the Fundación Bertelsmann in Spain, and I have my colleague here, Idaia, from Universitat de Mondragón in the Basque Country. We'll be presenting the preliminary findings of a project, of a report that we are currently developing, which is called the Comprehensive Analysis of a Dual University Education in Spain. And I'd like to highlight that these are the preliminary findings. This is not the final report. The final report will be presented in Madrid on the 14th of October with the 3 partners that have been developing this project. Also, another element to take into account is that we have taken, in this report, we've taken a perspective from universities. We've asked universities what they're doing in terms of developing dual education. There are many other partners. The other partner is companies, but we focused on universities because, as you'll see in the report, it's very recent that dual university education is taking place in Spain. This, as I said before, it's the first ever report on dual university education, so we want to see the state of play, as what's going on, what's happening in the field, and we've been developing 3 partners. One is University of Mondragón, another one is ourselves, the Fundación Bertelsmann in Spain, and another one is as you see here on the logo, it's called the Conferencia de Consejos Sociales. It's an association that all public universities have, linking universities with the workplace, right? So it's an association that by law, all universities have to link the academic world to the workplace, right? So this report has been done in association with the 3 institutions that you have here on the screen. Why? For several reasons, we thought it was important to start developing this report. One, it's because of the criticism that not only universities, but the education system in Spain has on not being close enough to the workplace, right? It's quite recent, it's quite known that there is a need to connect more and more with companies, and there is a mismatch. We've heard that in the keynote speeches, and it's also happening in Spain. There's a mismatch between the education offer and the company's needs. Another element that was also highlighted in the keynote speech is the decrease in the number of university students. Why? Because of the demographic decline. There's 200,000 less students in Spain than 10 years ago in public universities, as opposed to private universities, and also as opposed to vocational training. So private universities have more and more students, vocational training in Spain has more and more students, and on the other hand, public universities have less and less students in Spain. So that's something that we need to take into account. About the mismatch, what we were talking about now and in the keynote speech. Here you have the education level of population in Spain. On your right hand side, you have what's happening. Many people, we have the hourglass shape. You see the hourglass shape, including Spain. We have more overqualified people. So people with tertiary education, with less people with intermediate education, and more people with primary or basic education, as opposed to the EU 27. Meaning that Spain has more people with tertiary education than the average, than the rest of the EU 27, less people with intermediate education than the average of the EU 27, and more people with primary or basic education than the average. So you have the two shapes, the hourglass shape, which represents Spain, and the barrel shape, which represents the EU 27. So recent developments, universities have finally, maybe we could say finally, have realized that they need to go into dual education if they want to be close to the real world. So an increasing number of universities are interested in developing dual education in Spain. My colleague Iraya will give you the data, the specific data that we found in this report. It's very recent, meaning 2021, 2022, as you see on the screen. It's the first ever legal framework to regulate dual university education. Dual vocational training is quite older. It dates back to 2012, so it's already 14 years that dual vocational training has taken place in Spain. On the other hand, dual university education is as recent as 2021 in terms of the legal framework, right? There are not many, but a couple, 2 or 3 universities that have been developing dual education in the past. One is Mondragon University. Another one is a small university in Catalonia, in Lleida, but other than this, and also Almeria has also another university in Andalusia that have been developing dual education in the past, but the legal framework, it's very recent, as you see here. Now going down into business, there is something called the dual, we've put minor, but it's not real minor, it's a dual accreditation. The state government has passed the law, the decree that you saw before, on the accreditation for all universities to have, to be able to accredit their dual studies. So that's a protocol that was approved by the official Spanish network of university quality agencies. As you might know, Spain has these public agencies that are able to accredit, to give credit of what's standard or what's not in terms of all elements in a university, including dual education. So they set this dual accreditation, not dual minor, but dual accreditation, sets the minimum standards for a degree or a master's degree to be called or to be considered dual. So if it's called dual, then it has this dual minor. So my colleague will talk about specifically on the report.
Thank you. So how did we do all this? We used a multi-method approach. We first did, I'll be fast, a quantitative questionnaire was distributed to mainly the universities that belong to the Association of Social Councils previously mentioned, and then as well to other private universities. 61 universities responded to this questionnaire with a high response rate from the universities belonging to this Association of Social Councils, 94% to be exact. And then it's also important to mention that out of these 61 universities, 47 were public and 14 were private. So it's not the whole scale of the universities in Spain, but it's about 2/3 more or less. And then additionally, we also did some, for the qualitative part, a couple of focus groups with 7 universities. So what did we find? We found that 87% of the universities in Spain have the intention of implementing dual higher education, dual university education, or have already done so, okay? So this hints a bright future for the dual education in Spain. Then when we checked different autonomous communities, we found that there are some differences with Euskadi and Andalusia being the leaders, but we can also see that other autonomous communities have started to follow the path of these two. Another important thing to mention here is that Andalusia is leader thanks to one university that we have mentioned before, that is the University of Almeria. Then in fields of study, 62% are engineering and architecture, probably thanks to the Euskadi being leader. Then, I'll be fast, I've got 1 minute. what stakeholders need is, from the university's perspective, they need some transparent and consensus-driven regulation, flexibility in the contractual framework, and effective dialogue. The universities also think that the corporation may need some financial incentives. The students, they feel that students may need some accessibility and inclusion in the contractual, in the program development, Then they also think that coordination among all stakeholders might be needed, and a common quality assurance framework will also be very good for the proper development. Some challenges that we are facing is general unawareness in Spanish society on how to develop or what really is this dual university education. So an awareness campaign might be needed. And then for contribution, we find that this preliminary snapshot will contribute to the broader discourse and to capture the attention of stakeholders who are dedicated to enhance dual education. Thank you.
Very fast. On the 14th of October, the launch of the report will be done in Madrid. It will also be able to follow online. Thank you.
We have time for one quick question. No? Good. Okay. All right. So now we come to the next presentation. You have a question, but it has to be very quick. If we have time after the presentations, I can give all of you the floor.
Yes.
Please.
Hello, I'm James, and I'm affiliated with MCAS. I come from social policy, so I'm very interested in systems. Did you manage to earmark any dimensions of good practice in your analysis? Did you manage to earmark any dimensions of good practices in your analysis, or do you intend to do it?
Sorry, not at this stage because not at this stage because what we wanted to have is a map of what's going on in the field. After that, we'll be able to have into more qualitative elements. But first, we wanted to know what's going on because there is an interest, but nobody was doing actually the job of mapping who's doing what for what purpose. And we started by having this questionnaire to all the universities belonging to this association, which doesn't mean that it's all universities of Spain. We have 2/3 of universities. We have mostly public universities, but our challenge now is also to go into private universities and to also go into more the qualitative details as the one you just mentioned.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. So we now go to the next presentation. It's going to be delivered by Dr. Jeremy Legaudier, and it's about how to teach circular economy to young designers and engineers, examples of dual education initiatives between Estia Engineering Institute and Decathlon Sports Company. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, good morning and good afternoon. Today I want to share this question about the circular economy. But before, I don't know what is your level of expertise in circular economy, so please hands up if you're knowledgeable, if you have good experience. Not experts. You know the definition? Not? Okay. Do you know Decathlon? Okay. There is a shop here in Malta. Okay. So, for the circular economy to go fast, we have to break the linear economy. That means we cannot produce the goods in Asia, consume in Europe, and send our waste to Africa, for example. That's the case in textile, for example. So the circular economy is how we can use this material, recycling, repair, reuse, remanufacturing. So that's the challenge of our life. We spend too much effort on the climate change for the energy, but the big danger of the planet and for the people is we not we have to reduce the use of the material of this earth. So that's the main challenge. And that's why my question is how we can train the people, the students, to solve this challenge. So, my main talk today will be we can do this with company, and we can make dual education, but we can have some small collaboration between student, company, and university to tackle this problem. And then it will take time, maybe, but then after we can have some dual education program. And as you will see, it's not easy to start this kind of collaborative between company and student. So I will try to make the story on how we work with Decathlon company since a lot of years to tackle this kind of approach. So this is the research question, but I don't present research result because in 10 minutes it's not possible. And in 25 years of research, I know that science is doing during the coffee break or later at the bar, but not on stage. So I will try to go. I will just give you some example of different activity that we done. So at SIA, we are in the southwest of France, in a Bidart. It's Biarritz. It's maybe Bayonne, Biarritz. It's more easier. And we have the chance to have Decathlon, which is located in Hendaye, just 10 minutes from our school. And the specificity of this brand is to have some shop, but also to have some R&D center. And there are the water sports specific for development of new products for sport, water sport. And we are working with them since 2008. So how we start? We developed since 2007 the 24 hours of innovation. You know the hackathon? We were maybe the first to launch this kind of product. So we make a call for participation from different people, from different students in the world. We have 300, maybe 500 students that coming, and we make some call for project to company. And we ask them, we have to find a solution in 24 hours. It's like Jack Bauer, you know, when they save the world. And so we put coffee inside the student. We drink a beer because you know the science say with one beer you increase your creativity, and with 10 beer you destroy your creativity. So we put beer, and the day after, most of the student doesn't sleep, and the survivor going to present in 3 minutes. It's not 10, it's 3. Okay. So that's how we start our first collaboration with Decathlon. And if you are interested, our 100th edition will be organized soon in Biarritz, the 25th of April. So if you want to send some students to our organization, please try. So we try some project, and for example, here is the result of 24-hour production of student. It was a modular helmet. We made some key pocket for a surfer. We reuse wetsuit for paddle accessory for surf. So as you can see, all along the year, there are some topics that was only on creativity, but now they are more on circular aspect. How to use a wing panel during sub practice. It's stand-up paddle. I don't know if you know all this. How we can change the surfers and find a solution. How we can use, develop new products for based on recycling materials. So here are some. We have maybe 1,000 projects with all of different companies. So I just highlight some example with Decathlon. The second workshop that we done with Decathlon is a big workshop. Every year, the collaboration was good enough, so we decided to send 100 students, engineer, designer, marketing student, and we send 100 students inside the company to work with all the team of Decathlon in 1 week. And now our workshop are focused on circular economy. So that means, for example, we take one of their projects, We try to analyze the existing project and try to find circular economy strategy. What kind of part can be repaired? What kind of part can be reused? What kind of product can be not sale but reused collectively? And what kind of part can be modified to be recycling? So this kind of workshops are done with students and people from Decathlon. And now we have some professional designers from Decathlon that are working with us in Estia and give some courses. So we have the chance, you know, the Easy Brace, so the designers are working with us. And now we got a research program. I'm leading a chair on the textile, including Decathlon, but also 20 brands on textile, like Petit Bateau for the children. And we have 4 PhD students that are working on the circularity for textile. So my main message is to show you how, by working on collaboration between companies, we can now produce some science and have some research activity. I don't have the time to present all the different PhD. Just after me, there is the presentation of Amanda in Petit Bateau. She's working with the different technology of 4.0 for Petit Bateau and try to produce textile on demand. We got Nicole working on circular aided design tool for Decathlon. 2 weeks ago, I was at the European Parliament in order to present the result of the PhD of Panchika, and we designed a digital product passport for the textile. 2 minutes is too long. I have to dance now. And maybe just to conclude, here are some examples of our work that we are doing with the PhD of Nicole that is located at Decathlon. We are looking at the different projects that are linked to the circular economy in Decathlon. So when she starts, she asks to any department of Decathlon, what kind of products are you developing for the linear economy? And we find 154 circular projects. We present this work during the ISET conference, and I would like to thank you, and you have maybe one question time. Is it right? Just my conclusion was to say, if you want to work like this with company in order to stimulate collaboration, at the end, you are not professor, you are event organizer, workshop 24 hours. So now I can be a wedding planner. And you have to change your mindset. I mean, you are not professor, but when you are working like this, you have to coach, to be the coach. You don't know the question before. You have some question from the student, you have question from the company, and you have to change completely your mindset. But that's my only expertise. I really enjoy to do this. And the last point would be to say that the students want to solve problem for them and not for us. So they want to solve the problem of the future of the generation. So that's why I encourage you to work on circular economy. That's all.
So, no further questions? No, one. I have time for one, because he made good time. No.
If you don't have time, I've got red hair, so...
Okay, thank you so much. So now we come to the next presentation. It's on dual programs in higher education, a review. It's by Dr. Anara Imaz Agire. And you are the only presenter? You are the only presenter. Okay, so I leave it up to you. You've got 2 minutes, please.
Yes, thank you. Okay. Let's see how it works. Okay, so I can't move, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, good morning. My name is Ainara Imaz Agirre.
And together with my colleagues Paula Alvarez and Iñaki Larrea, we have been conducting this systematic literature review on dual higher education programs. We are working at Mondragon University at the Faculty of Humanities and Education, and we are involved in the second work package in this U4Dual Alliance. So we are working on dual higher education programs. So this is a very preliminary study or results that we are going to present here. We have been conducting a systematic literature review, as I said, on dual programs, and we are going to see what we have found so far. Okay. So this is more or less the agenda for today. We are going to briefly understand dual higher education programs. I will explain the methodology used for the systematic review, the results that lay in two main areas that I will explain later on. First of all, mainly advantages and challenges of dual higher education programs, and also specific mention to quality criteria that it's needed, especially in research, and some conclusion on future research lines or ideas for you if you're interested in carrying on research on the topic. So first of all, when understanding dual higher education, we have a huge or variation in terminology. We have sometimes, or we have found that we have different concepts, terminology used for dual education, apprenticeship, work integrated learning, and sometimes we have found that all of them are used interchangeably to describe the integration of theoretical education with real-world work experience, and this has made sometimes also difficulted our work in doing the systematic review. So this educational model aims to equip learners with the necessary skills to adapt to the current labor market. We have also seen that there is regional system variation. I mean, each country or even each region has its own terminology employed to address these systems, and also highlighting the need for a comprehensive understanding of this multifaceted realm of dual education. So we have seen that there is a geographical component in this terminology variation as well. And the third main issue in these dual higher education programs is the integration of theory and practice in learning. Dual education requires, as it has been mentioned, the integration of academic learning at higher education institution with practical training in industry or companies. So this requires a bridge or a strengthening links between academia and industry. As it has already been mentioned by Vincent and Ireia, not just in Spain, there is a growth of dual education programs in higher education in different countries across the world, and I think, or we have seen that this is in response to the changes that we are facing in the labor market, and also in the international arena related to students moving from different countries, different sectors, and different places. Also, we have seen that several research studies have been conducted on dual higher education field using different methods, including quantitative, qualitative, and mixed methods, and also exploratory approaches to investigate different aspects of dual education and its implementation on different countries, different contexts, and also different programs. So the review we conducted was done in between October and December 2023, so that's last year. We used PRISMAPE methodology for carrying out the methodology. We've basically used or explored a web of science articles or articles published in Web of Science between 2014 and 2024. Those who were ahead of print. We only considered for this systematic review empirical research articles, and those who were not accessible were not included in the systematic review. We only considered higher education programs or university programs, and vocational education training programs were not included in our systematic review, and we only considered articles written in English or Spanish because, well, it's the languages that we speak, so basically that was the criteria we followed in that sense. So in the first round, we found 976 articles related to dual apprenticeship, work-based learning, all those different concepts, and higher education programs in English and Spanish. And after following, different exclusion and inclusion criteria, we selected just 29 articles who were empirical research articles written either in English or Spanish. Most of them were coming from Canada or United States, Australia, UK, and some countries in Europe. Okay, I'll rush. So results. So far, we are still going on in the analyzing all the articles, but the preliminary results indicate that most articles explain the advantages and challenges dual higher education programs have on higher education. So studies have used or employed different methods regarding research, but we have to acknowledge that there is a massive or a preference for using qualitative multiple case study research in this setting, and also mixed methods designs to explore several aspects of dual education. So we believe this is a drawback or a huge, a challenge, because we cannot generalize those results found so far. The second main issue is that research on dual education aims to address the challenges and benefits of integrating theory and practice. So there is a contribution to international collaborative research efforts in higher education. And regarding also to advantages, literature so far shows that dual higher education makes the integration of this theory and practice possible, although there are some challenges. Okay, maybe I'll need one more minute. So it's also shown that dual higher education enhances employability and also develops some skills of especially those related to flexibility and communication skills of students in higher education programs. However, integration of theory and practice could be an advantage. It's also a challenge, or it is still a challenge, and we hope we should work on this in the next years. So this integration sometimes lacks a connection between what students are learning at university and what they are doing in companies, in industry. Also, students' well-being is a challenge, and research has reported that. Because sometimes those programs or these programs can be complex, time-consuming, and sometimes also frustrating. And students have reported that in those qualitative research. And also we have found some gender disparities and occupational segregation. Okay. 1 minute. Okay, no questions then. We can talk at lunchtime. So regarding quality criteria, there has been, or it should be mentioned that it's important to see how effective these programs are, and research are claiming the importance of making or using or seeing what the impact of dual programs is on students, but also in industry and also in academia as well, and this should be measured and researched. So it seems that research is pointing towards a way in which quality should be prioritized, at least in research, and also findings or conclusions show that there is a call for more generalizable empirical evidence, including quantitative research. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay, so we've come to the fifth presentation now. It's called Adapting a Dual Higher Education System, Dual Talent Program at University of Almeria. Okay. It is going to be presented by Mother Pilar Casado Belmonte. Sorry. I don't know how to pronounce Spanish names. Okay. Sorry.
Thank you very much. Morning, my name is Pilar Casado, and together with my colleagues Juan Garcia and Fernando Carvajal, I'm going to present our program, our dual talent program at University of Almeria in the south of Spain, in Andalusia. So based on the premises of any higher education institution, we are concerned about preparing students for labor market, about understanding the demands of the labor markets, and adapting the curricula of our degrees to the knowledge and skills required by the economy. So in this context, we are focused on improving the employability of our students, and in internships are considered to be an excellent way to enhance the professional skills of students. So, what's more, we firmly believe that dual higher education is as good as it gets. So, our main program, our program of dual education, the first is the name. The name of the program, we are the University of Almeria, UAL, so we name the program DUAL. students from University of Almería. Dual Talent Program. Our program is made of 2 6-month periods of internships. First, a curricula internships and of curricula internship, extracurricula. So the core of the program is to link the required skills of the degree, of the bachelor degree and the master degree with the learning activities in the company. So we are very committed to prepare the learning agreement with the host entity, the host firm, and the specific skills required for the program. How it works, the process. We start with a call to companies, to firms, and we ask for a position or offers for students of our master and bachelor degrees. After that, we prepare a learning agreement with the company, and we make a call for application for all the students of the university. The first selection step is made by the university based on the marks of the students. So we want that the excellent students with higher marks opt for the program. After that, the firm, the company, the host entity can select the student based on their own selection process. After that, and what we consider to be the most important part of the dual education is to prepare the learning agreement. The learning agreement in which the specific skills and the learning activities have to be matched. And this is, from our point of view, the successful point in the program. A bit of history, because we started in 2014 with a pilot program of only 4 students and 2 companies, 2 host firms. After that, in 2015, we named the program Dual Talent Program with 5 students and 4 companies. Well, in 2017, a new program derived from the Dual Talent. We named Sponsored Talent. I'll tell you later. In 2021, we launched a supported Dual Talent Program, a new version of Dual Talent Program. And in this year, in 2024, we have the first master degree according to the new Spanish law, according the dual mention or minor in dual education. So our main programs of dual education is a dual talent, that the aim is to achieve bachelor and master student and to include them in the program. Also, we detected that companies only wanted degrees with the higher labor insertion rate. So we decided to create the supported dual talent. We got funds from an entity, an external entity, and we create the supported dual talent focused to those bachelor degree with a lower labor insertion rate, namely history degree, Spanish, philology, psychology, humanities, management and public administration. And this was a good way to improve the program with this type of degrees with a low labor market insertion rate. After that, we have the Sponsor Talent. That is an interesting program because the dual education started in the beginning courses. In second course, in the second course, the students could have a period of 2 months, a summer period in the company. In the third course, the student has a period of 3 months summer internships, and in the last course, the student could benefit from a dual talent program. Well, some figures of the program. As you can see, since the year 2015, we have an upward trend, and in the last year, we show an onward trend with 151 offers or positions, and more or less 80 students per year. And one key aspect to be considered is the insertion, the labor market insertion of our students. As we can see in the slide of the talent program, we have an insertion rate of 80%. 80% of the students that enroll in the program, they got a position in the company, in the host company, or either in other company. And we can see that the amount of 20% of the students in the survey we made, they decided to go to study a master of go abroad, but they had the possibility to work in the company. Compare this amount compared to the regional labor market insertion rate is higher. 80% is higher than the 56% of the Andalusia rate and the 57% of the labor at the University of Almería. Well, and finally, to sum up, all the conclusions I had are the same that have been mentioned in the sessions, but I would like to highlight some. For example, for students, we have at the University of Almería a big challenge because our program, the scope is only the 1% of our students. We have 14,000 students at the University of Almería and only 150 offers to dual education and offer. So this is a challenge for us with a student. With host entities, host firms, we want to focus to highlight the role of a small and medium enterprise. Because in the Spanish context, they are the main driver of the economy. So we want to improve the enrollment of the small and medium enterprise. And from the point of view of the higher education institution, I would like to tell that we find many barriers with the law process, with the quality agencies in the Spanish context. So this is a challenge, a barrier we need to improve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Malte. Any questions? Quick one. One. You were the first. Wait for the mic. Thank you.
Helge Hochreiner from FHU Neomask out of Graz. I've got one question. You have very various diverse disciplines in this survey. So you have it from academic taxi driver with a history program up to nursery. You are talking about 80% of success with the program. In all disciplines or just only in one or two of them?
Yes, the program is launched to all the bachelor degrees, and to half of the master degrees. And the rate I gave you is the total rate, even nursery, any field, any.
I'm sure about nursery, but I have my doubts about history, for example. Who will need them on the labor market?
Yes, this year is the total, is the median, is the average rate. So it's included, but it's not only nursery. Yes, but the rate of nursery is 100% in Spain, I think, in all Europe. Yes.
Thank you. So we now have a final quick presentation by Dr. Ursula. Sorry, I don't have the titles.
Thank you. It's not a presentation, no worries. I don't know if you are aware or not, but you are part of a seminar here. This was announced by Jon in the morning session. We have from the Center of Excellence on Dual Higher Education, which is made up by Work Package 2. We have a seminar today, and you are part of that. And we invite you to sign in to the attendance list, which is somewhere here in the room. And if not, we will put it on the table with a little pen. And if you leave through that door, you can even evaluate what you have experienced today. And you have made already 2/3. And the last third is after lunch.
Thank you. So thank you all. This brings us to the end of this session. Now you are all invited for lunch, and it is in the administration building where you have...
We kindly ask you to settle down. Thank you. Thank you for coming back to the conference. We're glad you're still here and you haven't given up. So that's a good sign. We are here in thematic group 1. I'm Daniela from MCAS, Director Communications, and my role now will be to really make sure we stick to the timings, so we know everyone is exhausted by now, so we will make sure you leave on time. So, the first presentation today is based on a research prepared by Sara Blanca Clavero, who is here, and Marvel Segarra Onya. And the title of the paper is Towards Dual Education and Professional and Personal Skills at the Technical University, from the Technical University of Valencia. So welcome, and Sarah, we're very happy to hear from you, your research findings.
Thank you very much. And thank you for give me this opportunity. I came from the Technical University of Valencia, called Universidad Politécnica de Valencia in Spain. I'm a director of the Studies Management Office. And we are going to, or during today, we have speak about a lot of things. We had a lot of questions, but I have a new question, and this study is focused on this question. The question is, okay, how we, the universities, are going to prepare our students to face dual education. It's not just, okay, we are going to design dual education, or we are going to make good plans and so on. No, it's just the question is, okay, during the time that the students are at the university, how we are going to prepare them to face this first day at the company or at the business. Then, but this question is not a new question. It came
before, because before dual education we had internships, for example, and it was exactly the same. I'm sorry, it's passing.
It's just their signal to remind you to hurry up, but we're good.
Yes, please. How can I come back? Okay. Okay, next one. Yeah, next one. Okay. Then, we had, since 2015, we had a framework, and the framework was based on transversal learning outcomes. Then our framework, it was renewed in 2022 in order to adapt it to many things, but especially to a new a new framework, a legal framework in Spain, and we decided to adapt it also for reinforcing dual education. Then the framework mostly has 5 areas and 4 dimensions. Then in the first dimension, we have 5 areas, and each of these areas is based on some special or important or relevant strategy for the university. For example, commitment, innovation, team working, communication, or decision making. Each of these dimensions has a specific institutional objective. For example, the dimension 1, the areas, the specific institutional objective, it's the reward-based motivation. It means that we want to reward both to the student for making this effort of training in these specific areas, as well as to reward the teachers for making this specific effort for training the students on these specific areas. The second dimension is a correlation between the first and the second dimension. There's a correlation based on 4 learning outcomes. And the objective is the understanding. Then we want to clarify which are the priorities for the work done inside the classroom based on these areas. The third dimension is how we integrate the learning outcomes inside the programs. The first and the second dimension are unique for all programs at the university. It's mandatory, it's a must, not a maybe. Then all the programs at the university, degrees and master, integrates this personal and professional framework inside the programs. And the last dimension is the fourth dimension, is about which are the best activities and the best assessment to train and to assess the students in this framework. That means in transparency. We want that the students knows about the program. We want that the students knows about in which subject and in which moment they are going to be training in these skills, and at the same time we want to make this information public to the world. For the last, how can I pass it?
Yes, it's being controlled from the back, so you just ask to be...
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This is just an example because it's very long, then I'm not going to explain it all. Then just giving, for example, the first dimension, the commitment, we can see how the skills have been transforming in order to be skills for future, for this 21st century. Then we have some such as understanding demands and needs in the market, or demonstrate awareness, assessing the consequence of decisions, and so on. Each of these skills has a real and authentic objective. For example, objectives such as human respect or professional ethics, social responsibility and innovation, or universal accessibility, and so on. There are a lot of, there are 4 outcomes for each dimension. Then I'm not going, obviously, to explain here all of them, but they are in the abstract. And just to finish that, the last slides explains how this framework is connected with the dual education. Then,
our proposal is that dual education has two parts. One part is done inside the university, and a second part is done within the companies. But when the students arrive to the companies, the framework should be already trained before. That means we don't have to think that, okay, when my student arrives to the company, in the company they are going to train them in communication or in team working. No, we think that this training should be carried before. Then they have a real experience within the company, but the access to the company best prepared because they have trained or more or less trained these skills before. Then they arrive to the company with more self-confidence, and they are able to attend or to be in better positions, because we have to think that dual education is supposed that in higher education will be for high-level positions at the company, supposing that these students will be graduate students in brief time. Then it's very essential for them to have enough training before arriving to the company in order they can experiment or they can, they can experiment or they can develop their job as with all from the first day. I mean, it should be a pity if they need several weeks or a long time to be able to start with a real communication within the company, with a real expertise within the company. It's better to prepare them before, not just in content skills, but also in these professional and interpersonal skills. And that's all. We have a lot of, obviously we have a lot of challenges, but we think that prepare the students for dual education is not just prepare them in contents, but also in these transversal learning outcomes. Then some conclusions is that the transversal learning framework give them, or it's useful for working on interpersonal and professional skills, democratic principles, and the sustainable development goals. Also, it provides the students with a competitive advantage by strengthening the nexus between the academy and the labor market. It reduces student uncertainty or fear facing professional challenges. And also, finally, the competency framework, or this transversal framework, will also be a significant advantage in dual education, enable students to join positions at appropriate level in the company by combining prior knowledge-based training with skills development. Okay, thank you very much for your attention, and I think I finished on time.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much, Sarah. We really appreciate, because there's a lot of work and a lot of findings, which I don't think 15 minutes do it justice. So a reminder that the abstracts are available on the website. It's just been posted on the LinkedIn of EU4Dual. So please check and see the detail of these studies, because it's 15 minutes is really unfair to the studies. But thank you so much. And for keeping on time. Next presentation will be on screen, and we will be joined by our colleague Martina Jurkovic with her research and presentation called Perspectives of the Micro-Qualifications Development in Dual Higher Education. So I believe Martina should now be online. Do you hear us, Martina? So we ask Martina to start.
It's a pleasure and honor to be a part of the first conference, EU Dual conference. and send you some sunny greetings from Croatia at PAR University of Applied Sciences. Today, I will present my work under the title Perspectives of the Micro-Qualifications Development in Dual Higher Education. Further slide. At the beginning, I would like to say that implementation of micro-credentials and micro-qualifications it's very important for Croatian educational system and development of dual higher education in Croatia. This procedure of implementation of micro-credentials and micro-qualification gives us some challenges for all higher educational institutions in Croatia. But we have some possibilities, and the possibilities of developing shorter educational programs at higher educational institutional level have been recognized by the all higher educational institutions and also the organizations that care about the labor market, economic development, and social trends. So the issue of development of micro-credentials and micro-qualifications in Croatia and implementation in Croatian educational system and development of dual higher education in Croatia, it's very important. Further slide. So we need to say more about the perspectives of higher educational institutions in process of micro-qualification development. Further slide. First of all, it's important to recognize the challenges. Those challenges for higher educational institutions primarily arise from the obligation to develop entire process of development of educational programs, follow the procedures of verification by authorities responsible for higher educational institutions, harmonize the work with the guidelines of the European Commission and national legislation. And also, it's important to develop new acts for each higher educational institution on their levels that will regulate the new procedures and ensure the quality assurance of the micro-qualifications, the procedure of development, and further issues. Next slide, please. So it's important to recognize the development of new acts at the higher educational institution level for regulation. New procedures are based on prior learning recognition procedures and harmonizing existing programs with specific learning outcomes and competences required for the specific part of the qualification. So every program in Croatia, formal micro-qualification program needs to be harmonized with the Croatian qualification framework. Next slide, please. So to say more, it's important to say that Croatian higher educational institutions in process of development of micro-qualifications need to think about the terminology, because Croatia introduced the terminology of micro-credentials and micro-qualifications, and all procedures in Croatia are based on this terminology. So development of micro-qualifications at higher educational institutions are a little bit more complex, but there actually gives content integrated micro qualifications that are officially evaluated and verified by the agency for science and higher education. Croatian Agency for Science and Higher Education requires that programs are primarily based on the sets of learning outcomes within certain qualification standards under the Croatian qualification framework. So our agency gives the thematic of the micro qualifications, and they said that micro qualifications represent one or more sets of learning outcomes that form a certain thematically and context-related whole upon completion of which students will acquire specific knowledge and specific skills. Next slide, please. So the development of those kind of programs are based on specific qualification standards, and it's a specific set of learning outcomes. So the key information that constitutes the micro qualifications is a set of learning outcomes within a specific qualification standard, which contains of the following information. First of all, there is the name of set of learning outcomes, EQF and CQF level. It can be a little bit different in Croatian qualification form. It's Croatian qualification form has some additional under levels than EQF. After that, there is a name of the educational sector, scientific area of the set of learning outcomes, ECTS points of the set of learning outcomes, conditions for assessing the set of learning outcomes, material and personal conditions for acquiring a set of learning outcomes, as well as material and personal conditions for evaluating a set of learning outcomes, guidelines for the procedure and examples of evaluation, and at the end, what is the most important, learning outcomes. That means actually the specific set of learning outcomes for that part of specific qualification standard. Next slide, please. That means that development of micro-qualifications in Croatia can actually be formal and non-formal. All programs harmonized with the Croatian qualification framework can be and needs to be evaluated and approved by the National Agency for programs, but formal micro qualifications and under their institutional level and institutional procedures. But we can say that micro-credentials and micro-qualification framework in Croatia actually gave to all higher education institutions some kind of obligation to empower dual higher education in Croatia. Next slide, please. So if we talk about the perspectives of dual higher education in Croatia, first of all, we need to say that dual higher education is an approach which combines different methods and forms of teaching based on practical work, on real examples from practice, and in with the companies with the aim of acquiring competences aligned with the labor market and the needs of employees. So the perspectives of dual higher education development in Croatia based on micro-qualifications have positive effects, and in the future it will have more positive effect on all stakeholders in the process of education at all educational levels in Croatia. First of all, because of connection with the labor market, based on learning outcomes of students that they had through the practical work at stakeholders for labor market companies. Next slide, please. So right now, dual education in Croatia primarily is recognized at the level of secondary vocational education. So dual higher education has not yet reached the level where it can contribute the social and technological changes in Croatia, but it has a big future. And because business entities, job seekers need to get workers that and students that have worked in a real working environment during their study programs, and they know different working conditions, and it can actually develop new employment opportunities for all. Next slide, please. And for the end, it's important to say that Croatian higher education institutions have recognized the importance of development of micro-qualifications. Until now, at the institutional level of the Agency of Science and Higher Education, 5 universities from Croatia have been developed study programs and micro-qualifications verified by the agency. Right now, PAR is a leading higher educational institution in Croatia that have been developed 29 verified programs, and it has developed standards and procedures and at the institutional level, and recognize the importance of development of those kind of programs and assurance of actually the quality standards for development and further work with the micro qualifications in educational programs. So the implementation of dual education in Croatia higher education system and the related legislation will lay the permanent foundations for cooperation between stakeholders of all higher educational institutions in the system and all stakeholders at the labor market. So micro-qualifications in higher education based on paradigm of dual education provide the possibility of developing shorter programs with the aim of acquiring specific knowledge and skills in a shorter period of time and ensure the base for stable economic development in Croatia. And next slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martina. We will take questions towards the end, but since Martina is with us online, I don't know if anyone has any particular questions on dual education in Croatia and in relation to this presentation. Okay, it looks like there are no questions so far. So now I'd like to invite our colleague from MCAST, Professor Aldo Drago, who will focus specifically on oceanography, vocational and UN education for operational oceanography.
Okay, thank you very much. I am very pleased to be part of this conference. Actually, I am bringing in an element which we have not touched upon anywhere else during the conference. This is about the sea. I do not know much about EU4Dual, in the sense that the partners, I don't know how much are they involved in maritime studies and maritime activities. So this will show how much is my presentation relevant. But indeed, in any case, it's very important to put the sea in perspective. And my presentation is basically intended to highlight this. I will be speaking about mainly operational oceanography, and I will explain in a minute what we mean by this. But as a preamble, the ocean-based economy, looking at the OECD report in 2016, is telling us how much will the maritime and ocean-based economy flourish in the coming years, pointing to an increase in GDP output from maritime activities and ocean-based economic inputs, which would, even on a business-as-usual scenario, double the GDP from maritime activities in 2030 with respect to 2010. This means that the prospect of engaging to prepare the workforce for this imminent future is very important, even because vocational education and dual education is really made for this kind of human resource development. And this is what I would like to show you with my few slides. First of all, operational oceanography. I don't have the time to go into the detail, but basically it's about providing the data about the sea. And this comes from many sources, from instruments at sea, in the seabed, in the water column, at the surface, but also from satellite oceanography. As we know, satellite platforms are proliferating and delivering to us so much data about the sea, which we are harnessing to produce products and understand better the marine environment. But on top of that, there is the numerical modeling aspect, where all this data are collected so that we produce a three-dimensional view of the marine ecosystem, and also a dimension in forecast mode. Therefore, producing data that will tell us how the future will be in the coming days, but even in the longer term. And this is basically what operational oceanography is about. It is about collecting data from all these sources, organizing it, analyzing it, preparing information, not only with respect to the physics of the sea, but also on the ecosystem component, using many different technologies to acquire the data, and very importantly, to deliver the data to the users, especially in real time. Namely, delivering the data while it is being collected with very little delay. And therefore, this makes the use of data very, very important and very effective in many applications that are relevant to the economy, to the research, to the monitoring, but also to added value, innovative, smart applications. And therefore, this is the relevance of operational oceanography, which we need to sustain with a human resource that can really cope with the future that we are expecting. Just to give you a flavor, I do not have the time to go into the detail, but just to give you a flavor of how does operational oceanography support activities. Of course, very often we need information to tackle circumstances of distress. For example, this is a ship, obviously in a storm. The ship shouldn't have reached that position because today forecasting is good enough to avoid this kind of circumstances. But being there, we have to support. And we have to support by making the right decisions. And the right decisions is not only through experience, but also through data. By, for example, being able in the port neighborhood to have the relevant data to support the decision on how to take that ship out of peril. Oil spills. We know how much oil spills can be devastating. This is a simulation near to Malta. It is very important to have the means, the tools, and these come from operational oceanography, in order to be able to predict if there is an oil spill, how much will be the impact, where the oil spill will go, and with what concentration will it impact the coastline. Search and rescue. This is also another very important aspect where operational oceanography provides the essential data to narrow down the rescue area and therefore intervene with rapid enough to save lives. And also to make many different kinds of assessments, such as, for example, for wave energy and wind energy resource exploitation. I have to go fast, so I will skip some of these intermediate slides. Here I'm showing how operational oceanography is the backbone of the integrated maritime policy, of blue economy, of the green transition and the Green Deal. There are a lot of elements related to the sea, of the ocean-based economy, which I already mentioned, but also on the Sustainable Development Goals, especially with Sustainable Development Goal 14, which is really related to the sea. Here I do not have the time to go into the detail here, but just to give you a flavor of how does operational oceanography support society in many different areas, including security and defense and many other aspects. And now my last two slides, which I would like to speak a bit more detail about, because having seen the relevance of operational oceanography, we need to cater for the human resource that we need for the future. And in this slide, I am concentrating on the type of skills which we need. We live in a knowledge-driven and digital area. We had many reflections, especially in the plenary sessions, about digital literacy. I have it written on my notes, but I was very happy that somebody else was highlighting the relevance of digital literacy, and therefore being able to give to our students the preparation and basic skills also in terms of data handling, in terms of IT skills, in terms of software applications, and proficiency in computing languages. So it's not anymore only languages, but we need to have also skills and students tackling data proficiently. And looking at operational oceanography and looking at the whole chain of activities, we need there a whole range of different skills and different competencies at different levels. It is not just the experts which we need, but also those who are putting their hands in the sea, deploying the instruments, servicing the instruments, and then the people who are preparing the downstream services to bring the data and the products to the user. So there is a full range of competencies and skills that we need to provide. And my last slide, this I think is very important, because as we also mentioned during plenary, we're going through a very challenging phase in our educational system. For sure, we need to change in the delivery of how we give knowledge to our students. Many of our deliveries are still linked to providing information. Information, students can now find it elsewhere. They do not need us to give them the information. They need us to lead them to where to find it and to where and to evaluate its value. But what is our role is not to give them the information, but to support them, to interpret it into knowledge. And I think that this is the key message that one of the key messages which we need to take with us. This is how we need to evolve, even us as lecturers, on how to deliver our output. Okay? The students realize the difference between a lecturer and another, even through this factor, namely how efficient we are in transmitting the knowledge from the data and the information that they receive. So this is a key message, and this will mean that we have to revise our way of delivery in terms even of courses, and especially, also mentioned during plenary, in our way of interacting with industry. The interaction with industry cannot be a passive one, but has to be an interactive one. Namely, the industry players need to be part of our educational system. And the main target is not just to link to them or to network to them, but to collaborate with them to develop the educational delivery together with them. So I think I will stop there. My last slide has also the email address. I do not know how much of the universities in the Alliance really take marine aspects in consideration, but if there are any who are interested also in this aspect, I think we need to give it a push. And therefore, if there is interest in these aspects, do contact us so that we work together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Aldo Drago from MCAST. And next, I'd like to invite colleagues from Mondragon University, Amaya Lersundi and Aranza Ozeeta. So, the role and competencies of the university mentors in dual education. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amaya Lersundi from the Humanities and Education Faculty of Mondragon Universitatea, and today I'm presenting a study I conducted with my colleague Aranza Ozeeta about the role and competencies of university mentors in dual education. Okay, first I will briefly present the context in which the study has been conducted. Then some main theoretical underpinnings will be discussed, together with the methodological choices we made along the research. And after this, I will present, or the main findings of the study will be presented, and I will finish drawing some conclusions. So, just to understand the context in which the study has been conducted, in the humanities, or in our faculty, in the Humanities and Education faculty, 4 degrees are offered in dual modality: audiovisual communication, which is not part of this study, okay? And then secondary education teaching master's degree, and infant education degree, and also primary education degree. Okay, so on the one hand, we have the secondary education master program. This is a 1-year master, 60 ECTS, which is compulsory in order to become a secondary teacher or vocational training teacher. Okay, so during this year, this is a dual, in dual modality. During this year, students stay or do 5 stays in the school. So they go to the school and they spend the year going back and or between school and university. Okay, and on the other hand, we have infant and primary education degrees. These are 4 years degrees, and they say, or the students take the 4th year, the last year of the degree, in the dual modality. And here in these 2 degrees, they follow a 2+3 format, which means that the students spend 2 days, Monday and Tuesday at university, and from Wednesday to Friday they go to school during the whole year. Okay, so currently we have 35 students in the master's program and 150 students in the infant and primary education degrees. So you have like a picture. In the present study, focus has been placed on the role of university mentors in dual education, in dual higher education, as mentors and teachers play a crucial role in any successful educational experience. But we know that mentor and trainee relationship are multifaceted and involve several roles, several different roles. However, the definition of mentoring and of the role of the mentor is not defined yet, or is not very clear yet, and they are both under research, and that's why the present study aims to explore how university mentors of students enrolled in dual infant education, primary education, and secondary teaching master's degree describe the role as a mentor and what competencies they require to perform these roles. Okay, so in order to achieve this role, we conducted 2 focus groups, one with 4 mentors of the secondary education master's program, and another one with other 4 teachers or 4 mentors of infant and primary education degrees. Before conducting these two focus groups, we prepared an interview guide based on theory or based on other research that has been previously conducted, and the same guide or the same questions were asked to both group of mentors. The 2 sessions regarding the data analysis of these focus groups, both focus groups were transcribed, and audio recorded, transcribed, and then analyzed, inductively analyzed using the software Maxcudia. Okay, so when asking both groups of mentors about what their role as a mentor is and which competencies they feel or they believe they are required to possess or to develop, participants mention different and several roles and also different competencies required to play these roles. But there are also some roles that are common in both focus groups. So let's see some findings, or some of the main findings, because the roles they mention are a lot. So we are trying, or I'm trying to just to summarize them. Okay, so if we look at what secondary education master programs mentors say, we see that university mentors feel that it's their responsibility to empower also tutors in the school so that they feel trainers of these students as well, and that they are the ones who create the relationship between the school and university. Okay, and so a school or university mentors perceive that it's their duty to create these boundaries or to create this culture of joint training. They also feel that it's their responsibility, or one of their roles, to transmit the students the passion for profession and for learning, the development of learning outcomes in the university, the compliance of curriculum requirements, to provide the students with emotional support and empathy. They also feel, or they are members of a learning community within the university, and they feel that they need to make the tutors of the school and the students also feel part of this learning community they belong to. And among some of the competencies they need to develop, or they feel that they need to develop in order to play these roles, they see, or one of the key competencies they mention are the eagerness to innovate, the ability to manage uncomfortable situations, to encourage critical thinking with the students, and to promote reflection, among others. On the other hand, in infant and primary education degrees, or yes, these mentors, they think or they believe they are required to ensure the learning processes both at the university and at the school, to promote students' autonomy, to foster metacognition. They also need to know, the mentors need to know how to manage uncertainty and to be able to adapt to new situations, because when we are talking about dual education, students, when they go to a school and they come back to a university and they go again to a school, lots of different situations happen every week or every time they go and they come back to the... Faster? Okay. Sorry. Okay, so the mentors mentioned that it's their role to accompany or to this accompaniment with the students, to design training contexts, to build bridges between theory and practice, but also to bring knowledge from the school to university and to take the knowledge, or that the students take the knowledge from university to the school as well. And lastly, to build or to this learning and curriculum planning. And finally, we also have some roles and some competencies that are mentioned in both focus groups, which are, very briefly, the mentors feel that they are the ones who initiate and maintain or need to maintain this relationship with the schools. That is, yes, as was saying, to build bridges between theory and practice, to build knowledge or to take the knowledge from a school and from university, but also to build these bridges between the school and university all the time. So, among all these roles and competencies, we could make like some categories of these roles could be identified. And here we have some colors, but they are a bit light and they cannot be seen very good, I guess. Okay, but I will summarize it in this picture. So some of the roles and some of the competencies I mentioned before are related to the responsibility mentors feel with regards to the school tutors, such as how to make the school tutors feel the responsibility for the training of the students as well, or how to build bridges between university and school together with the school tutors, because this is one of the challenges that the teachers or the mentors, the university mentors feel it's their responsibility, but it should be also the school tutors or the school mentor responsibility. Others are related to the support they need to give to the students and the responsibility towards the students, like, for example, to encourage the critical thinking or to promote students' autonomy. And finally, others refer to the competencies they need to develop in order to be a mentor, to be a university mentor, which are, for example, the ability to manage certain or uncertain situations or being creative, for example. So, to finish with, we saw that there are several roles, that each participant and each group of mentors mention different roles and different competencies, so we can reinforce the idea that the role of the mentor is multifaceted and it's not clearly defined yet. So depending on the focus group or depending on the group of mentors, different roles are mentioned. So we saw that some roles are shared by both group of mentors, but it is still somewhat confusing, and further research is still needed in order to give like a proper definition of what being a university mentor means. So furthermore, it's also important to note that each educational stage has its own characteristics, so, or these characteristics are reflected in the discourse very clearly here. And this means that tutors within each group have different roles with regard to the other agents also, like to the school or to school mentors or to the students. And finally, the findings of this study, or we believe that the findings of this study help or contributes to the definition of mentoring and provides clues also for the design of teacher training programs, but it should be taken into account that mentor training should be customized according to the characteristics and to the needs of each group of mentors and each educational stage also, and that this training should be co-designed together with the mentors. And that was it.
Thank you so much once again for summarizing a study that must have had so much work. We move to the last presentation for the session and for the day. No pressure. So, developing dual higher education in Romania, regulations and infrastructures, limitations and perspectives. So we have 6 authors and our colleague will represent them.
Well, my name is Otilia Kramariuc. I work in the Technical Transfer Center of the Ștefan cel Mare University of Suceava, and it's a country in Romania, northeast Romania, near the Ukrainian border. And today I'm going to talk to you about developing dual higher education in Romania. First of all, I would like to present to you some education system indicators of Romanian versus EU. As you can see, the percentage of early leavers from education and training, age 18 to 24, is much higher than the EU indicator, 15.6%. Exposure of vocational education and training graduates to work-based learning is very low, 8.4% in Romanian compared to EU, which is 16%. Upper secondary education graduates is 24.6%. Also, in terms of skills development, Romania is among the worst performing countries in Europe. The public expenses on education as a percentage of GDP is only 3.2%, and as a share of total governmental expenses, 8.1%. The legal framework of Romanian education system is relatively new. Last year, the education law was modified, resulting in 2 new laws, one for pre-university education and one for university education, both including dual education. According to this new framework, starting this year, the dual education route has been introduced at university level, and therefore a complete dual route is available from upper secondary to higher education. Also, new qualifications were introduced starting with 2029. Upper secondary technological education will be conducted exclusively in dual system. Currently, the enrollment in dual education system is regulated by the Ministry of Education. The first 3 stages. The first 3 stages is the first stage is the organization of classes based on the request formulated by the companies for level 3 qualification. The next step is determining the number of students for the current education year. Next step, partnership agreement for dual will be signed between companies, education institutions and public authorities. In Romanian, only 53% of dual system graduates are employed after graduation. After graduation, sorry, I must have. Okay, this is okay. In Romanian, only 53% of dual system graduates are employed after graduation, and only 32% by the companies involved in their practical training. 48% continue their studies. There are several funding opportunities for the development of dual education. One of these is the National Recovery and Resilience Plan 2021-2027 is the largest one. And it promotes dual education in Romania through Investment 6, which aims to create at least 10 integrated vocational campuses. I will elaborate on this in the next slides. Another program is a collaborative one between Swiss and the Romanian named Dual VET, Vocational Education and Training. Also, Erasmus Plus is another program. There is also European Social Fund Plus, which supports investment in VET and involves measures targeting the quality of teaching and training staff. The aim of these programs is to support the full career route for technical dual education, including university-level dual education. As I was saying, there are 8 international standard qualification of education in Romania. Up to level 3, we are talking about secondary education system, high school or technical schools. Level 4 and 5 are related to post-secondary education system, and up to level 8, the dual system involves tertiary education system or universities. In order to create a proper framework for dual education in Romania, we created the consortia which integrate at least one high school, one university, one company, and one public authority. Next, I will present the National Recovery and Resilience Plan related to dual education. Last year, this program created 29 dual campuses in all the Romanian region, 3 campuses only in northeast region where Suceava, our university, is situated. As you can see, the biggest eligible amount was received by the center region, followed by the west region. In total, almost 600 million euros were received by Romania for dual education campuses. All in all, 36 universities were involved, 120 high schools, 188 companies, 79 public authorities, and 13 NGOs. So in our university, we submitted a project and received funds for USV dual project. This project is coordinated by a consortia which is formed by Ștefan cel Mare University of Suceava, 13 pre-university institutions, 9 public authorities, and 18 companies. The project value is 21 million euros, and it will be finished in 2026. The USV project involves creating a campus with 2 dual education centers, 1 photovoltaic park which will cover minimum 30% of energy consumption need of the campus. This was actually a condition in the guideline of the program. Also, there will be scholarship granted for students during the program from over 100 euros to 300 euros per student per month. There will also be developed new study programs for acquiring the qualification required by the labor market in Romania. And by this project, they will be supported at least 200 students. Actually, the capacity of the campus is 800 students, but this is one of the is the minimum requirement of the guideline of the program, so at least 200 students that will cover the entire dual route. Also 10 practice coordinator, 10 practice tutors, and 20 teaching staff personnel will be trained to teach activities in dual route. That is my presentation about our project and dual education system in Romania. Thank you.
Thank you so much to all 5 contributors. I'm informed that all the groups have now wrapped up their presentations, so I will just give you some information about what happens next. So for those of you who are going back to the hotel, it is transport from out here at 5. Our ushers will help you and show you where the transport is. So that means please do not stay here too long because the transport is waiting. At 7, for those of you who are joining us for the evening program, you will have the pickup to the networking reception, which will happen in a place, in a village called Sijiwi at Limestone Heritage. So pickup for hotel for those who are joining us is at 7. Tomorrow, at 8, you will have the pickup from your hotel to MCAST. So we kindly ask you to be ready to leave at 8. Thank you and well done to everyone.